Hi, this is Wishop, and this is your card reading for the full moon in Capricorn of July 9th. And this reading will cover approximately the next 2 weeks, although effects of a full moon can last a month as the new moon can. You can kind of be moving that way from lunar phase to lunar phase. But anyway, let's talk about this Capricorn full moon. I had said in a previous reading that this would be a magnificent time for manifestation and for things to come to the surface and for changes that you've been working on to become evident. And really, that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about here too, because I think it's happening. And also because there are some other interesting aspects that are supporting that. So not only do we have the idea of the full moon in Capricorn, and Capricorn is an earth sign, very tangible, concrete type results. The 10th house is thought of as the house of career. It can also be a fatherly or a house of authority kind of house. So we think about it, the mountain that we're trying to climb, the mountain that we want to be the king of, the king of the hill. And so what happens in the Capricorn full moon is that we start to see the culmination, the public, apparent culmination of efforts. And so I was suggesting in previous videos that this could be a great time to launch something that you've been working on for a while, a little bit on the down low, a little bit undercover, letting it germinate, letting it come to a more complete state before you brought it into the public eye. And this might be a good time to bring it to the public eye, or perhaps events would just force it into the public eye. Well, while we have this new moon in Cancer, we are also going to have sort of conjuncting it, Pluto, which is also in Capricorn. And Pluto is a planet of power and authority. It can also be a planet that has to do with sex and, well, and when we talk about power, it's use of power, proper use of power, personal power, or are you using it in a dominating way? Are you being dominated? These kinds of ideas. And then on the other side of it, we have the sun in Cancer, which is what's making the full moon, the sun on the opposite side of the wheel. And the sun will be conjunct Mercury in Cancer. So Cancer, as we've been talking about, is, your home and what's very close to you and your feelings. And it can be things that you've grown up with over long tradition. It can be the house of the mother, just like the Capricorn can be the house of the father. So we think about these competing, if you will, or complementary desires to have nurturing and to have emotional security versus the need to go out on our own and to be individuals and to have our own individual achievements, not just collective achievements, but individual ones that represent our own personal aspirations, and balancing those two. And I think that's what this full moon is going to be about. It's questions of responsibility and how you balance it. And so what I did was I did the same kind of spread that I did last week. First, I rolled the dice, but this time I arranged them hopefully in a more logical way. This is head, heart, belly, feet. This is actually a little fox. It's on this printed fabric, which is from an Inari shrine in Japan. So white foxes are associated with Inari, and she's a grain goddess. So she's very fruitful. So she's very good for a Capricorn full moon, these white foxes. So here I have even, even, odd, odd. So if you look here at the glyph, we've got even, odd, odd. And that associates with number 6, or what I number as 6, Fortuna Major. And you can see it, it's got this kingly scepter. It's the sun in fire. That's Leo. This is Leo as the king. This is, you can see it's underlined, this is stable. This is stable energy. This is a kingship which you have grown from the ground up. And this really, I believe, reflects that idea that you've been working on something. It could be a change in your health, a change in your diet, for example, a change in your home, a change in your career. It's going to be something tangible, something that you've been working on for quite a while, and you're going to have results to show for it, or results that will be recognizable and obvious. People are going to say, oh, look at that. You painted your house. That's great. Or, look at you. I can really tell that you're, getting in shape, or whatever it is. So this is going to be, if we think of the Leo type areas, it is going to be something you're very proud of. It's going to be something that required creative effort on your part. It's going to be something that required enthusiasm and drive to get done. And especially because you may have been working on it without as much exterior or external support as at one time you hoped you would get. Or maybe you were afraid you wouldn't get support, so you've kind of been working on this on your own, or you've, as I said, you've been keeping it a little quiet because maybe it wasn't the time to bring it out, or you were afraid it wouldn't go well, or you wouldn't be able to complete it, or whatever. Anyway, this is a time now that you're feeling great pride in this achievement. And this achievement marks a stable change in your life. You are making a sea change. This is one of those watershed moments where you have your life and go, that's what it was before, and now this is what it is after. And it's a result of your efforts. And what we had last week was Fortuna Minor, like little kisses of luck, if you will, from the universe, that are intended to help you along, but they're not making your kingship, so to speak. You're doing that, and you're growing it in a stable way. So then what I did was I added these dice together, and I came up with 20. There are only 16 glyphs in Geomancy, so I summed it down to 2. And here's our old friend Amicio, which is basically kind of second house issues. You can think of it as the house of Taurus, of resources, and love and beauty, because it's Venus in the earth sign. But Amicio in Geomancy, this is the word for loss. So just like, and I think I said this last week, the mice to me in Lenormand represent second house issues. They're issues of your stuff and tangible things that you have invested time, money, energy in, right? They're investments. They're where you put your value. There is loss here. So what does that mean? Well, I think it can mean you have, in a sense, broken a piggy bank, if you will. You have finally, maybe I don't want to say burned a bridge, but you've invested something in your new life, and it represents a change and a moving away from something else. You've had to make some kind of sacrifice. But that sacrifice, and I'll explain why in a couple minutes, looks like one you're very happy to make. So for example, let's say we're talking about classic Cancer issues like home and family, and Leo issues like children. Maybe you've decided to expand your family, or you've just gotten pregnant, or this kind of thing. You're now going to sacrifice some of the money that you had, some of the free time that you had. You're going to sacrifice maybe sleep for about a year, or who knows how long. And it's a sacrifice for a change of status that you are willing to make. You are seeing a tremendous change of status. A card that I keep coming up with in my personal readings is the Ten of Wands, which I often call a high-class problem. It's a scale-up issue. A lot of people look at that card and go, well, this person should delegate stuff. That's one way you can look at it, and that may be a good use in some cases. But in some cases, what I see is this person is now handling these 10 wands, even as awkwardly as they are, and they're now ready to scale up. Maybe they should get a wheelbarrow. Maybe they're ready to get a store. Maybe they're ready to do things to scale up because their capacity has now increased. And so I see it as you're now ready to put another weight, on the bar that you're lifting. You are now scaling up. You are able to do more. And one card deck that I've seen, I think it's the Journey to Egypt Tarot by Julia Cuccia Watts, I think, has the Ten of Wands as a big snake shedding its skin, because the idea is you've gotten too big for your britches in some ways, and the snake has to shed its skin. And while it's shedding its skin, it can't see very well because the dead old skin is over its face. So it can't see, just like in the Ten of Wands. You can't see where you're going, but you persist because you are actually in the process of scaling up. So that's what I want to talk about. This to me looks like scale up, and these sacrifices look willing. And what's happening is, the other thing I did was I then added these glyphs across to get a third glyph. So here's even, odd, so that makes odd. Even, even, so that makes even. Odd, odd, and that adds up to even because it's 1 and 1 makes 2, and 2 is even. So 1 and 2 is 3, which is odd, so that's odd, just in case you wondered how I do that. So we end up with the card Carcer. And Carcer is another stable card. It is Saturn in Earth, which is Capricorn, which is where this moon is in Capricorn. And while Carcer is the word for jail, like incarceration, Capricorn is also a sign of security, of locking things down. Let's say you were getting a new contract. Carcer would be exactly the kind of card you'd like to see. Let's say you were making some change that you want to be permanent. That's what you want to see in Carcer. And with Fortuna Major and Carcer flanking this reading, it's really telling me that the changes that we're making now, these steps forward, are very much life changes. And they do represent some sacrifice somewhere of some kind. And it could even be, given other kind of readings I've been doing and other sort of indications, it could even be a surprising sacrifice. But it's not going to be an unwilling one. It's going to be a willing one. And the way I can see that, at least in these cards, if we look at the heart line, which is the second line here, we've got 2, 2, and 2. So these others change from even to odd and from odd to even, but the heart line stays the same. Even, even, even. On the heart level, you are committed. You know what you want. You know what you're doing. You know what you're trying to be and how you're trying to do it. And the results you're getting are solid, are recognizable, are publicly evident. And let me tell you another way I know that, because when I take this 20 and I pull the Lenormand card that goes with 20, we get the garden. And in this deck, which is Pixie's Astounding Lenormand, which uses Rider-Waite images, we have the Ace of Cups images. And we also have this archway from the 10 of Pentacles and the garland from the Queen of Pentacles. This is a very abundant scene, and it's social. The garden means public things, associations, being out in the public to be seen. So whatever changes you're making are definitely going public, and in a way that is abundant and joyful. It's in a way that you are very happy with. And so whatever small sacrifices might be involved, whatever adjustments you're having to make to your resources, whatever way you're having to reconsider your resources of time or effort, it all feels very worthwhile because you're gaining a crown, so to speak, and you are locking it in for the long term. So I say congratulations to you, whatever it turns out to be. And I will talk to you at the next new moon, and rock on with your bad selves.